Hello, and Dwelly presents the Future of Property podcast, where we explore experts in the industry and the direction that property is heading. So today, today's guest is Joseph, which I've known for some time now, and he's been in the property industry for over 18 years and has experience dealing with first-time buyers, investors, and landlords. So, Joseph, let us know a little bit about your background and kind of what led you to go into the property industry.
Yeah, of course. So I'm currently an associate director at Trevely Properties. Thanks for reminding me of my age there, Daniel. So I've been doing property now for this is my 19th year. So I work for Trevely Properties. So we're based here and we're also based in Africa, in Ghana as well. And we deal with the full range of properties. So we do sales, traditional lettings, as well as that investments, acquisitions, you name it, we're involved with it. Any stage of
Mm.
property, we'll basically be wanna be involved within the transaction. What got me into property was when I was working at Carphone Warehouse, the head office, which was many moons ago. I was purchasing my first property, and throughout the whole transaction, there was so many different terminologies they were saying. So they were talking about exchange, deposits, and valuations, and leases and stuff like that. And I'm a person, I hate not knowing what what is going on during some sort of transaction, especially when I'm putting my money down. So I just thought, you know what? I've got the gift of the gab. People always tell me that I talk too much. So the best way I could use the skills that I've got already is to try and transfer into this sector. So I've worked for a number of high street agents, some of the larger ones as well. And it just got to the point where I had enough of making money for them, and as well as that, I hate taking orders. So it was a bit of a balance between the two, where probably now 13 years ago I went self-employed. So from then, yeah, just been going from strength to strength since then.
It's a lot very detailed. Honestly, appreciate that. How did you find consistency to building the businesses?
Um, a lot of hard work, a lot of graft. Client retention is probably was my number one benefactor of quick wins, because as
Yeah,
soon as you leave the corporate world and you go into, if I don't make any income, how am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to put food on the table, and so on and so on and so forth? When
yeah.
you've got kids and you've got family and stuff like that, it's a bit of a learning curve, and it's immediately sink or swim. So again, it was definitely the client retentions that I had from previous places that I worked. They were willing to give me the opportunities because, again, essentially, it was all about the service that you give them. They didn't really care about the branding on top of the shop. They were just more so of like, you know what, Joseph, if you can deliver what you've been doing in the past, then we're more than happy to continue working with you. And then that just kept building year on year on year on year, and then somebody would give me their property to sell or rent. We would sell or rent it. Then someone would refer it, and so on and so forth. So it's a lot of client um, retention and referrals work a lot as well. When
So
we were
really have
starting off, when we were starting off.
remained. So maintaining your relationship with the people from this ground up has been really been beneficial for you.
100%. There's clients that I've been working with now for the past 12 years, and that was again, what one of the clients is a multi landlord. He owns over 1,000 properties in London, like standardly, and I think he gives it to KFH, he gives it to Sterling Ackroyd, and he gives it to us in terms of Trevlin, and that's just because he quite frankly, it's not like he likes me as an individual, but he just knows, right, when we give him the property or when he gives us the property as a business, they will give me exactly what I need, which is probably the right tenant and the right level of income when it comes to rental.
That makes sense. So it sounds to me, Joseph, that you have to maintain relationships both with, let's say, what a client that has like 1,000 properties plus, and then also with tenants. So you're in the middle there having to triage both relationships.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly that. Yeah, and that comes down to communication. So
mm,
again, with our team, we've got a small team, so it's myself and we've got two negotiators. And what I try to emphasize them is to build up a stronger rapport as possible, that they feel comfortable even telling you if they don't want the property. Because I think in general, people from the UK are polite. You will show them somewhere, you take them
yeah,
around, and they will just be like, "Oh yeah, you know what?
yeah, I love it.
It's nice. I like it. I'll come back to you." And then you don't ever hear from them again. And
Yeah, they
I've
can't tell you no in
installed,
the face.
yeah, that's it. Because they're just generally polite. They don't really want
Yeah.
to be rude. But I like to set the tone in terms of, you know what, this is not my property. If it's not for
Mm,
you, that's absolutely fine. Because if it's not for you, I want to know as much as possible what it is about this property you didn't like. So I know as soon as I get something that meets that criteria, more than likely you're willing to take it.
yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
So
yeah,
then, in, in that particular relationship, let's say, let's talk about the relationship with the landlords, and
hmm
then maybe after we'll talk about the relationship with the tenants.
yeah,
Um, of course, you contractually there are things that you have to do as part of the service you provide the landlord. But
hmm
where are, aside from your like contractual obligations, where are the sticking points? Like what makes a landlord say, "I love Joseph's work"? You mentioned about being able to get them exactly what they're asking for, and my assumption is that that's the particular rate they're looking for, maybe the type of tenant. But
yeah.
aside from that, what like points in the relationship make them like you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Obviously,
Mm.
it's not just my debonair good looks, but I would
Yeah,
definitely
okay.
say that it's
The beard.
more to do with the yeah, it's more to do with communication and transparency.
Yeah.
As long as you
Right.
give what people hate is like if they give you a property is the biggest asset or one of the biggest assets that somebody's ever going to own. And if they
Mm.
give it to you, that's down to trust straight away. But what people don't like is if nothing is happening, they don't hear from you. And I'd say about
Mhm.
75% of people prefer to do that. It was a phrase that I was taught many moons ago, which was called eat the frog, where
Yeah.
when you come across something that you don't want to do, you always procrastinate and push it, kick the can down the road. Whereas
Mm.
if you haven't got someone going through the door, haven't got the offers at the level that they want, and so on and so forth, I've instilled into myself and into the team to make that information more as upfront to the landlord or to the vendors as soon and as quick as possible, because that will then basically give you the tools to see if you can get a price reduction, see if there might be a
Mm.
bit of leeway, but ultimately it shows that you are still working on their behalf. Because the worst thing that you want is they instruct you for something, they don't hear from you for 2 weeks, and then they pick up the phone. So you're being reactive instead of being proactive. They pick up the phone
Mm.
and say to you, you know what? I haven't heard from you, blah, 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 blah. What I want to do is instruct this other agent and put them on. And you, look, all of they're always looking for other options. They're always looking for other
Mm.
options.
Yeah, I hear it. So it's that proactivity, like, is one of the main ways to like enhance the trust you have with that like landlord type client. Just making sure they're not chasing
150%.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it's obviously it's better if it's good news, but it doesn't matter so much so if it's bad news in terms of
Yeah.
we've had 10 people through the door, they all absolutely hate it. At least it's feedback, so that will set a realistic expectation to the vendor or to the landlord. So at least if you give them some sort of guidance on what to do next, they're more responsive to what they are willing to do, as opposed to if they're phoning you and saying, right, what's happening? No one's going through the door, blah, blah, blah. They'll go to Joe Blogs around the corner and be like, right, they've advised me that we should do this, this, and this, and then you're going to be on the back foot from that
Right,
position.
right. Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. And then what about the tenant relationship then? Like, you mentioned that you have a few negotiators in your org, but how do you, I don't know if you have tenants that you have worked with for a similar type of period. You said 12 years for this particular landlord client.
Yeah. I think with tenants, especially now, more so with the changes that are coming into play, it's
Mm,
more of a short-term relationship. Yes, have
mm,
had a few cases along the lines that they've come back to me to see if I've got something available to when the year or 2 years has expired.
mm.
But again, people's situations might change. They might be going from a one bed to a four bed. They might be going from a four bed to a one bed. They might be
Mhm.
Yeah,
relocating out of the country or to the area and so on and so forth. So with tenants, it's a bit more of a short term relationship. I'd say
yeah,
probably about 85% of the time you don't contact them again. And that's again, that's in my own experience. That's in my own experience. But
hmm
again, it really all depends on the situation and the scenario. Because if I don't deal with them directly, they would have referred me to a friend or a family member that is looking for something similar that I can help assist them with. And that has happened numerous occasions. It has happened so
yeah,
many occasions from that perspective.
that makes sense.
Makes sense. So, understanding how you interact with the tenants when they're looking for new properties, do you ever conduct the management of the property after you found like a home for them? Do you do management
Yeah,
for the landlords as well?
yeah, of course. So it's
Mhm.
we do two different services. So we do the rent collection service and we do the fully managed
Mhm.
service. Rent collection is essentially the landlord will still have communication with the tenants themselves, but
Mhm.
from the perspective of chasing up the rent, if there was any arrears or getting the payments and so on and so forth, it would be our responsibility as the agent.
Mhm.
And then, as well as that, like you said, the fully managed service where they have no interaction whatsoever with the landlord and they deal with us solely, we would be the point
Mhm.
of contact for them. But again, we do have a property manager that deals with that as well. So, to be fair,
Right.
with property management, it's only ever complaints. They would not phone you up for to see how your
Anything
day's
good
going or
news?
for no, something's gone wrong. The boiler's acting up. There's no hot water. There's a leak somewhere or something along those lines. It's never something positive. But again,
Mm.
it's the nature of the business. It's the nature of the beast. That's the whole reason why we will charge
Mm.
a fee for the service.
Yeah.
No,
May,
no, of
may,
course. I was going to ask, following on from that, so what type of tools or systems do you put in place to kind of manage that relationship
What with the tenants?
with the tenants? Yes.
What in terms of the management service?
The management service, yes. And do you have any operational tools that kind of you help you within the business to manage that?
Yeah, we've got our CRM system where everything is logged and so on, and if everything else like that. So it's got the contractor's details, whatever works has been done would be logged on there as well, and a point of reference to make sure that we've got a log of exactly what happens with each and every property them itself.
I hear it. So, is that like a bespoke CRM system that you use?
It's a system called Dumas. It's a system called
Okay.
Dumas, which is openly available. Very, very user friendly because I'm not the most tech savvy, in
Mm.
all
Right.
honesty with you. But again, it does it serves us well, and it serves its purpose well as well. It works really good. It works really good.
Okay. That's cool. I guess our interest basically sits at that intersection between property and
Hmm.
technology. So it's quite interesting to hear how like relationships feed into how you have to use the tools to manage like the relationship essentially. 'Cause
Yeah.
if let's say um I'm imagining a scenario, you've got a client, for example, 1,000 properties, and let's say he gives you even like half of those properties,
Hmm.
and you're dealing with all the tenants. You're not going to be able to keep up with those emails, those texts, unless it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, unless it's categorized in a correct way for you. So I guess
Yeah.
um my question in all I'm saying there is that where does what takes up the most time where it concerns managing properties? Like what type of communication or issue and how do you deal with it?
That's a really good question. I wouldn't say it takes up the most time, but it goes hand in
Mm.
hand with property management. The consistently addressing the issues that the tenants have.
Right.
So if let's say we've got a block of flats with 20 units in there. If
Yeah.
one flat has got an issue with the blinds, another flat has got an issue with the thermometer. If another flat has got a leak in the bathroom, if another flat has got, I don't know, something wrong with the boiler, for it to be tracked and ticked off consistently would be, I wouldn't say it's a challenge because it is part of property management, but that is probably the most, the most tedious part of it, because no salesperson that I know likes the admin side, hence why we've got a property
Yeah.
manager in.
Right.
So, and I think with how things are going with AI and so on and so forth, that's probably even going to be where property and AI are going to um, migrate a lot more within the next 3 to 5 years, in my opinion, because I don't think a lot of the tasks that we're doing, which are time consuming, is going to be relevant anymore. But let's say for example, let's say the easiest example is email inquiries. With email
Hmm.
inquiries that come through and phone calls that are filtered through as well. As long as there's an AI system that is integrated within your CRM system that can help filter that and register the clients, so it gets to a stage where as soon as it comes to the negotiators, they're fully cooked. I can. It's probably. I think that I think they're already doing that in. I think it's either Australia or Canada, one of the two, where
Okay.
there's no more junior negotiators. There's no more junior negotiators. There's only listers and people that go and close the deals. But
I see.
if you see it from a cost perspective, I think a junior negotiator is probably about £15,000 a year. If you break that
Right.
down on a monthly basis, that works out to be probably about 1,200 a month, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if you get an AI system that can come in and take that out, and you do it for £400-500 a month, that does
Hmm.
exactly the same thing. I can see a lot of companies are going to go that way because it will be
Yeah.
more cost effective and more efficient.
No,
Yeah.
most
That makes
definitely.
sense.
And where in your business itself, where could you see is AI saving you time?
Where like I said, from the basics of qualifying the applicants. So the applicants, when they come through, qualifying that, taking the inquiries, if anything needed to be done from property management wise. So let's say the property manager would only get prompt to say, oh, flat 6 has said this has come in, send out. We've contacted Dave on your behalf. He's going there next Tuesday or whatever. So the property manager knows. So that saves the time for the property manager to having to take the call from the tenant, having to speak to the contractor, having to put the contractor in, and then go back to the tenant to say it's got sorted out. AI will probably do that within a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I 100% agree with you because I think AI will help for negotiators, property managers to do their jobs better. That's how I see
Mm.
it. And
Yeah.
because I wanted to also ask, with these changes, like you said, probably in the next 3 to 5 years, AI is going to be integrated with property.
Yeah.
What skills do you think, as either a negotiator or a property manager, what skills would they need to survive and not, yeah, to survive in a market like this?
I would say the one thing that AI cannot replicate or take away is the physical human interaction. It can't physically open up the doors yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yet. I say that yet. But I'm sure Elon Musk is probably creating something somewhere or someone's
Something.
create, yeah. So that human interaction where it's necessarily needed in order to close the deal. Because sometimes you've got to be very persuasive, and I don't know if AI will give you the facts. It will give you the matter
Mm,
of fact. It will give you the pros and cons. But sometimes
mm,
you know yourself when you need some sort of convincing, it's usually
mm-hmm.
that human element that helps from that perspective.
Yeah.
So I still think to a certain extent, yes, humans will definitely still be needed at the last stages of
Mm,
um, of a transaction, but maybe
Mm.
at certain points they might not be needed. They might not be
mm.
needed.
No, that's
Yeah.
absolutely fair enough. But if a system like that was in place, what would you need to see for you to trust it fully?
Who, me personally, or people,
You,
the people of the mass?
the people, the mass, or you personally?
You just need to see. Yeah. Look, even if you look at your phones now, AI is integrated in you speak to Siri, you ask Siri multiple things, you ask ChatGPT to reconfigure your emails and stuff like that. It's already in our way of life and our lifestyle. I think what you would need to see is how it would work, because I think as long as it doesn't replace that human element of things,
Mm,
which people are still requesting, but people's need for that might wane in a few years. Who knows? If I said
Mm.
to you 10 years ago that the majority of way you could order a cab or a taxi would be via your phone, you would have been like, that's nonsense. Cab stations would have been like,
mm,
you're chatting nonsense, my friend. But it's evolution. The important thing is not to be left behind and be progressive with the times and work alongside it. So as long as it's clear to see how you can work alongside the technology as opposed to it replacing you, then it will be convinced. It will be convincing. It will be convincing.
Yeah. I hear that. I mean, in your, we're talking a bit here about what AI can change in the future, but if we bring it back to today, is there any point in your day to day that you use AI currently?
Who, me? Like I said
Mm.
already, in terms
Okay.
of if I'm sending out any type, hopefully my clients are watching this. If I send out any emails, any emails, I don't use it to structure the email. I ask it for its opinion. Does that make
So
sense?
like optimize the text kind of
Exactly.
like
Like,
refine it.
how
Yeah,
could I
yeah,
make this sound a bit more blah blah blah, and then it will just
yeah.
give me a pointer. Um, Apart from that, when I'm putting together valuation packs as well, it
Mm-hmm.
helps me from that perspective too. It pulls the leads and units that have been sold or let within a particular area and compiles
Mm-hmm.
it for me. But I still like to do my own research as well, because it it gets it wrong at times as well. So
Yeah, yeah.
I use it. I work alongside, like I was saying at the start of the conversation, we're in a day and age of where you have to work alongside it. You can't be like, no, I can't use it, or I don't want to use it, or I'm against it, or you're going to be like those dinosaurs that I used to work for, and I was like, yeah, I don't even want to work alongside them anymore. You've got to evolve and just change your perspective on things.
I hear that. I hear it. I agree with that. I see even in my work is mostly technical in the financial industry, and I see a lot of people just digging their heels in, like, oh, I'm not trying to hear that AI stuff, and then speak to them 3-4 months down the line. Now they're begging you to teach them how to use it because they need to use it quick. So we're in that kind of time that if you avoid it, you're just gonna get left behind.
Yeah, that is it.
Yeah.
It's like I was saying, it's more evolution and working alongside it as opposed to wanting it to replace individuals. It might get to a stage where I think it might get to a stage where AI does the qualification. Clients are comfortable enough with just virtual viewings because not every. I don't think that is the key thing to it, because people still want to physically. If you're going to spend $500,000 or £750,000 on something, you're not just going to spend that amount of money on
off a video,
off of a video or a video tour or something like that. Some people will. That we've all had experiences of when people just do it off of that, especially if the clients are abroad. But I still think that human interaction needs to be part of the customer experience in order for it to be closed, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Shifting slightly to maybe your relationship with investors and owners of property, people that have portfolios. I'm interested to what your take would be on what separates successful investors from let's say unsuccessful ones. Like what's that like je ne sais quoi that makes a difference?
I honestly think the term investor now means so many different things to so many different people. I think an investor now would. The $1 million question is: would you tell somebody to invest in property today? Are you advising them to do that in the best shape of the market? There's never a great time or space to start investing in property, but with the way the world is going, you've just got to be very cautious and very honest. This is just my opinion on how people spend their money. The vast majority of investors I'm dealing with at the moment are looking to purchase stuff 20 to 25% below the market value, and they want it off market. The majority of people selling want to sell their property at the premium amount. So it's that difficulty of somebody's expectation who wants to sell and somebody's expectation that wants to buy, and marrying the two. That at the moment is where the challenge lays. You know, we've all had those incidences where you come across somebody that says, yeah, I'm an investor, I've got blah, blah, blah amount of money to spend. What should I do? So from that perspective, you can either be inexperienced and ill-advise them, and then later on down the line they'll making negative equity, or you be honest with them and explain to them, this is the terrain at the moment. I would advise you to do blah de blah de blah, and then take it from there. So I don't think it's as simple as saying what an investor is. I think you've got to definitely take it from a case by a case basis and find out exactly what is that individual trying to achieve, because essentially it's always to try and reinvest their money. So how much return do you want to make? How quick do you want to make that return? What percentage do you want to make that return as well? So there's so many different facets and aspects to the question. It's very difficult to answer and gauge, in my opinion. But again, personally, my own investors, I've seen them scale back a little bit, especially more so with how things are going in the Middle East in terms of the war and so on and so forth. And they just want to see how things play out. But if a good deal does come onto their desk, they'd be more than happy to snap it up.
That makes sense. Yeah. So I'm hearing a bit of economics in there. I guess costs are going up, so the people
Yeah,
spending want to sell less, the people selling want to sell for more to make up
exactly,
for the price of everything going up. And then
exactly.
you in your work just have to try and find that perfect balance in between.
Yeah,
And yeah, and I guess take it very personally when it comes to dealing with investors and how you can help them if they
yeah,
listen to exactly what their goals are and how you can tailor your approach to that. And so that
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense. It's
Yeah, that's
quite
exactly it.
difficult work.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no point if someone said to you, I want to invest £1 million today and gave it to you, it all depends on your strategy. What are you going to do with that? Because easily you could scoop up 2 or 3 properties, let's say, around the country, and settle that requirement for them. But again,
Mm,
will it be for the best for them, or will it be the best for you to say that I
right.
facilitated that individual? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's clear.
Yeah, that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense. So, Joseph, in your opinion, is property still worth it in 2026?
That is probably one of the best questions I've been asked this year.
Mm,
And my response to that is I'm still figuring that out. To invest into property in 2026, I'm still figuring that out. The properties that I've sold this year to investors have been no-brainers. They've been absolutely no-brainers. But the type of deals I'm getting in terms of sales at the moment have not got, that term, I don't know, I haven't got enough meat on the bone,
right.
essentially. Apart from if it's somebody who's about to get repossessed, or if there's a probate that's come onto the table. Like
Mm,
today, just before I've even jumped on the phone with you, I've gone on 3 valuations, and they're desperate to sell. These 3 people are absolutely desperate to sell, but there's no point me even pitching it to the investors, because when they've explained to me what their financial situations are, like one of them, I think she's behind on her mortgage a certain amount, so she needs to hit a certain mark, you know,
right.
and she owes the bank a certain amount because she put a second charge on the property, blah blah blah. Like there's no point even showing it to the investor, because he'd be like, right, I'll take it, but I'll take it at this point.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, if you sell it at this point to this investor, this individual, they ain't gonna have nowhere to move on to for the next move. So to go
Mm,
back to your original question, would it be advisable to invest in property in 2026? Like I said to you, I'm still. Let me get back to you with a response on that one. Let me get back to you.
I like that. I like that. I think that's the honest truth,
Yeah,
because with
yeah.
the renters bill coming
yeah,
in and the Iran war, that does make it very difficult in 2026. Um,
yeah.
so so just
Let
a
let
just a
but, but,
general
but, but
question.
let me ask you guys this question, because it
Mm.
sounds like you've got a bit of knowledge and experience in property. Yeah. In this past year, how many people have approached you to say that they want to buy, but they're end users?
I personally do have someone, actually last weekend, where
Hmm.
they were looking at a few places in Essex, not in London.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but again, they were actually disappointed when we looked at the areas and looked at how much the prices are, and with the interest rates at the moment, what they thought they could get, I think they were trying to aim for maybe about 350, doesn't seem to match up what their finances are saying.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think for our generation, anyone trying to get into the property ladder now is quite difficult as an end user.
Yeah. Totally agree. How about you two?
Yes. From the perspective I look at it, I'm seeing that residential purchases are on the decrease. A lot more investment purchases, but not as many people discussing or asking even about buying for residential purposes.
Yeah.
So it's a strange one because people, I guess maybe it'll be split between people that are trying to get on the property ladder for residential and for investment. But yeah, it just seems like investment is outweighing residential at the moment, which is interesting because if the market is in a particular shape, it's like investors have the money to invest, but people that need to buy to live in don't have the money to do that. So
Yeah, exactly that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm definitely seeing a generational shift right now where a lot of them, say, younger generation, they haven't got the means to be buying the first house for it to be an end user, where it's like the older
Yeah.
generation are either living in their house a long period of time and it's got in the family passed out,
Mhm.
or it turns to a rental property. So no one really has a chance to rebuy that property and start a new swing to it. So it is a kind of shift right now, thinking, right, who's actually got the capital to kind of push through and push past the investors?
Yeah, exactly that. And unless you've got the bank of mum and dad that are gonna give you that crazy deposit, the days of working a 9 to 5, saving up for that deposit is dead. That no, no, that don't happen
Especially
no
as a
more.
single person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the cost of living and everything else. All right, even if you're earning, let's say you're earning a decent wage, let's say earning 50K a year, and you're 30. Let's say 30, you're 30 years old earning 50K a year. You think that's a decent amount of money, but with the way everything is, I don't know where you can raise that money now to save. Do you get what I mean? Because you're going to need to be saving at least what, 1,500 a month, $2,000 a month out of that salary,
Yeah.
and even to do that, what are you going to be doing? So
Yeah.
it's like you said, if it's one salary, it is very, very, very challenging. So
Yeah.
that's so going back to your original question, is property in 2026 a good time to invest? Like I said, all of these things go into the mix, and then we'll speak about it again in 3 months. You know?
Yeah. As a Londoner, though, I'm seeing a lot of people like in London now pushing the boat in quote further afield, like going up north. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Starting investment portfolios up there. Um, someone we spoke to recently for like a block of flats up there for the type of money you wouldn't be able to get a 2-bed for in London, for
Yeah.
example. So people are like the options are kind of changing and people are paying
Yeah.
attention to different things.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting time. Interesting
Yeah.
time.
It is. It is, and
Yeah.
it's like you said, going back to the example of the first time buyer. It's very, very challenging because if you're doing well and you're let's say you're in a house share, and you want to get out of there. If you look at the options, a house share would be like 900, a grand, all bills inclusive, for example. But to get out of that and think, right, I want to buy somewhere where I can pay my own bills, I can do all of this, that change would be at least an increase of 15-20% straight away from going from the house share to buying your own 1-bedroom flat. And do people have capabilities in order to do that now on top of the cost of living? I don't know. It's better off, like you said, better off buying with your partner or renting with your partner or something. It makes more financial sense in order to do that. But then, God forbid, you split up with a partner, it puts you back in square
Yeah.
one. You got to move back to mumsy's. You know,
Yeah.
but that's
100%.
the reality of how things are going. That's the reality.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask, this is my last question. If you, let's say you own your own property and you now want to become an investor, you want to start to buy assets and grow your portfolio. How much money do you think you actually need to start?
What an actual figure.
Well, just like a range. If you were to guide someone that wanted to start investing in property, how much do they need to save? What are their options possibly?
Again, I think there's more facets to the actual question itself, because I don't think you can just
Mm,
say to them, right, save up 40K and you'll be able to do this. It's like, what are you looking to get in a return? And when you find out the precise thing that individuals looking for, that will be able to gauge exactly how much they would need. As I think Matt said it, or Jordan, I can't remember. One of your friends brought a block outside of London, or
mm,
wherever it is. So those are the type of things where if you brought a block in London, you're going to need 100K minimum,
yeah.
as a deposit. Whereas if you buy a block north
Exactly.
of England somewhere, you could probably get away with a 30-40K deposit. So it
Mhm.
balances it up. But then you look at what yield are you looking at, yield returns, or are you just looking at capital growth, or you don't really care, you just want something to wash its face. Wash its face means just pay for itself and everything else like that. So I think
Mm,
from that perspective it is a challenge for me to answer that question. But if you're pressing me to say how much would you need, I think you need at least about 30 to 40K. 30 to 40K you
mm,
can invest in something. 30 to 40K. Something less than that, it can still probably be property based, like some sort of an investment, but it might not actually be property itself.
mm. Understood.
That makes sense.
Great, Joseph. Thank you for that. And to kind of staying on the topic of that mindset and advice, really, as we kind of close up the segment, really, what advice would you give to someone starting off today?
What I would say is don't be deterred. You know, everybody's situation is completely different. Just because Peter done this, and especially with the way social media is, and people just flaunt stuff, and you're just like, wow, he done this, he made that, but that doesn't work for you. Don't necessarily be deterred from that. Be focused on exactly it is what you're trying to get out of the investment, whether it's, as I said, capital growth, yield return, or if you just want something as a pension saver in the future. So at least right, it's not working for me now, but in the next 7 to 10 years, 20 years, it will work for me. And yeah, just keep trying to think of ways on how to diversify your income, so you can at least raise some sort of a larger pot of money.
No, that's perfect. Thank you so much for that.
Good
Cool.
advice. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, yes, thank you for watching our podcast today. If you like what you've heard and the advice, please like, share, and follow. And don't forget, remember to dwell it.